again. Welcome back to our faces in our bedrooms.
No makeup.
I was going to say, but you glow. You don't need no makeup.
It's a combination of that yellow light and, what is it? Girls don't sweat.
They glisten.
We glisten. Yes.
See, I'm a pale motherfucker who matches the snow outside. So.
I like the snow. I can't believe it is April 18th and it is snowing. It's been snowing this week. It's
kind of fucking crazy and I hate it.
So the other day when it was just like lightly falling, if it was like that every day,
that's fine.
I would love that because it wasn't cold.
No, but it melted by, 10
by the time it hit the ground, and everything was just so covered and pretty.
It is pretty. It just sucks to drive in.
Didn't even hate it.
Okay, miss, I'm a New Englander. I mean, I am too, but I
think I just like the winter.
All right, before we get into our many topics today, please follow us on our social, Facebook and Instagram at WAM617. Find us on YouTube now. Just search Wicked Awkward Massholes. And we have our website, wickedawkward.com, with our episode recaps and all that happy fun stuff with Song of the Week every week.
Every week.
Every week.
Usually post somewhere between Wednesday and Saturday.
Me too.
I know, right? You always are on time with the Facebook post because you can time those.
Distant, yes.
But I can't do that on Instagram. So it just kind of goes up whenever I'm like, oh, fuck. There's a soundbite or something, and I forgot to post it. It's terrible. But
if it was a scheduling thing, it would be on time. But
yeah. Actually, I don't know if that's true either. All right. Anyways, besides the point, let's start off with another personal question. These are like not extreme. Well, some of them are.
They're just random.
But most of them are just fun questions. And I know that like I would love to do Super Fight, but I don't want to choose for you because that's kind of defeats the whole purpose of everything.
Yeah.
So for now, until we get out of this quarantine, which I heard like they're trying to reopen up some businesses, but I also randomly read somewhere on Facebook that social distancing can last as long as up to like 2022.
I saw that.
I would be fine with that because I really feel like there should be a 6-foot difference between me and you at the fucking checkout lane at Market Basket. Just saying.
That means I can't see you.
No, girl, no. I meant for like the outside.
Okay.
We're good here. We'll shoot this shit from the bed. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I'll make a contraption of some sort to hang from the ceiling and then get us at that weird like angle.
Yesterday at work, I put up on Slack, I put a status with the mask emoji, and it said missing friends, the boyfriend, friends, kids, and pets, and normalcy. And I had so many people message me going, same, me too. I can relate.
It gives a whole nother definition to the Me Too hashtag that's out there.
Me fucking too. That's what that is.
That's what it should be. You're absolutely right. All right. So question for you.
Yes.
Which you have an answer for, and I'm a little concerned.
Why?
What cheesy movie romance scene do you secretly wish would happen to you?
All right. So I don't like the romance films. Okay.
I know.
But if I wanted one to happen, it would be that like it's raining. Something happened and you're far apart from each other. And you're just like, I can't, I have to stay away from him. I can't, something is tearing us apart. And then he comes running after you in the rain because he can't be without you. And you're like, no, I can't.
We can't do this.
We can't do this. He's like,
forbidden love.
and we're all wet and glistening in that moonlight. And then you just make out because you can't be without each other.
Like a pouring rain or a drizzle?
No, a pouring rain.
I feel like you would drown.
What do you mean? In the pouring rain.
I don't know. I was surprised that you had some semblance of an idea for
All right,
this.
listen, I'm not completely heartless. We all fantasize about things, do we not? What was that face? See, I can see you now, girl.
I know, right? It's very difficult for me to come up with something like that just because I know that I watch. So we talked, I don't remember, I can't remember if we did this on air or off air, but you had said to me that Danny was watching Jane the Virgin.
Yeah, that was on air.
That was on air?
Yeah.
And I said that I can't watch it like that because I need it in small doses.
Yes. Yes.
So
what
like
do you...
I don't do big gestures. To me, it's like the smaller things that matter.
Yes.
Right. And I even tried thinking of a particular.
You have something on your mind. Just say it.
I don't. It's the only thing that comes close to something that I could think of. Like a scene. What? It's a scene. I don't know. I guess it's just like, have you ever seen, probably not. I can't remember the name of it. I know it's Nicholas Sparks did a movie on it. It was with Zac Efron and the chick that stars in
Last time? Our last time? No.
it's Zac Efron and
Yes.
this bitch from Orange is the New Black.
Oh.
I don't know what her name is. The main person.
Never seen it.
That you're correct. Have you seen The Prodigy? Oh, okay. I don't know what her name is anyways. She's blonde, blue eyes, fucking no. So it's like she owns like a border house. I think that's what it's called for dogs.
Yeah.
Is that what it is? A boarding house for dogs?
Yeah.
And he's like a wounded vet.
Yeah.
And the only thing that put him and saved him through war was her photo. That kept him safe and sound. So he goes to her, finds her, walks all the way from one state to another state. Spent like a week walking. Yeah, he walked there.
Forrest Gumped it. All right.
Yeah. And he went there to say thank you, and then they end up falling in love. And I think I'm more in love with like wicked dramatic breakups.
Okay. Yeah, I got you.
Like, you betrayed me, and it's just sobbing, but I still love you. Like that type. I mean, there's something wrong with me.
There's many things wrong with both of us.
Yeah, I think I prefer a romantic breakup rather than like an actual romantic scene.
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Can we move on from this stupid fucking question?
Couldn't tell you.
I mean, I'm gonna ask you, how have you been? Couldn't tell you.
At home.
Same answer. Couldn't tell you.
Couldn't tell you. I'm fine. I'm in my house 24/7.
Yeah, where you were gonna be anyways.
You're the one that has to leave and do things with people that, yeah, you're in it.
I mean,
you're in the shit.
I was talking to my coworkers, I think it was like sometime yesterday and then earlier this morning, about how like we used to always avoid rooms that we had to put on like PPE for, where it was just like a gown and gloves and a regular surgical mask. We used to hate those.
Yeah.
Now look at us.
All day, every day.
Can't avoid that shit. We live in that shit now. I was like, I would give anything for a room that just said like MRSA or C. diff.
Terrible.
I live for the day that I just see normal precautions, not like enhanced COVID. Awful
Days.
It is.
Excuse me.
Moving along.
Moving along.
In the Dark.
Season 2 came out this week, or premiered.
It premiered, yes. I know we talked about it last episode. I had already finished it by then. I know that you finished it and we both watched episode 1. So, spoiler alert.
Mm-hmm.
The person who actually killed Tyson was the cop.
Surprise, surprise.
Were you surprised?
Yeah. But like when you are supposed to know it's him, like when you see his holster coming home and you're like, fuck, it's him.
Yeah.
I did not see that coming because of course he was supposed to be like the lovable, laughable dad.
Chubby guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That face.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna talk about him a little later.
We are?
Mm-hmm. Because he was in something else I watched. But
Oh.
mm-hmm. But listen, I knew that it was gonna end on a cliffhanger. But I didn't know that it was gonna leave with like Nia just walks away and Murphy's like, hey, what is this? End.
Oh, I know, right? Oh, that was funny.
But it was yes, surprising.
I was more surprised that he's the one that killed Tyson. I wasn't as surprised that was Nia's contact in the department. I wasn't as like I was like, oh great, like fucking cliche, right?
Yeah.
She's holding this over his head
for medical bills. Yeah.
Right, of course. But I thought, because I think I was more in denial.
No, it wasn't him.
Yeah, so like even when he choked out Tyson, we all knew that like Tyson was still alive after that. And I was like, oh my God, awesome. Maybe he just choked him out and someone else killed him. And then it just kept progressing. And I was like, oh my God, what a fucking disaster.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking at least.
It's people like him that scare me more than people who have an agenda.
Yes, because it's very spur of the moment.
Frantic, and it's, I'm missing the word here. Impulsive.
Yes.
That is, because at any moment, he could have just killed Murphy.
Mm-hmm.
Just because he was losing his temper and he didn't know what to do, so let me just fucking kill her.
Yep. He could have. But instead, he wined and dined her.
Oh my God, I know. And he actually thought, like, when he was like, we made love, and I was like, were you there? Because she couldn't even look at you, bro.
Yeah.
And you thought that you were in the, talk about fucking oblivious and clueless. So when I know, right? So episode 1 of season 2 aired.
Literally picked it right up. Loved it.
Yes. To be quite honest, I was very disappointed.
Me too, actually.
For what reason?
It was kind of like, it wasn't like solid,
Well, it's only episode 1 of season 2.
Yeah.
I will first say that I'm actually very surprised at the way that this is playing out. Like when you see, okay, in the dark, blind girl, blah, blah, blah. You never, at least I never thought that the way in the direction that this was going to head was that we were going to be involved with drug dealers at any point.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought that at all.
I did not think, I think that's like my constant like shock is that like, how is this show about a blind girl, a veterinarian, and I'm pretty sure gay best friend he must be in the closet. Like, how did we get here?
I don't know.
I don't know if it's because they're trying to make it seem like it might be relevant. I don't know if it's because of location in the series where it's Chicago. It's like rough parts of Chicago.
But they
But
have to make it interesting.
I feel
That's what that was my whole point why I wouldn't last.
This is gonna sound a little bit racist, but I don't see how 3 white people can get so involved. It's 3 like Max. I got that.
Mm.
I understood that a little bit.
I missed him also because he wasn't.
He's coming back.
You better be.
He's coming back. I've seen the clips. I sort of understand that because he had a shady past to begin with, right? He was always getting in trouble. But Murphy and her best friend, and I can't remember their names, and the fucking owner of that fucking boarding house.
And Felix.
Thank you. How the hell does a blind girl, a veterinarian, and a rich white boy, it sounds like the beginning of a bad joke, get involved in a drug deal?
And now they're, laundering money through their guiding dog place.
I feel like if it wasn't for
nonprofit.
I feel like if it wasn't for the characters, like if it wasn't because Murphy was such a mess and Jess was so codependent and Felix was just so, I would not even fucking watch this shit.
Nope, me neither.
I wouldn't.
And also, she's not going to be a mess anymore. Because now she's quitting smoking.
Well, she's trying.
And now she's not no more. She's not sleeping around and being a mess and being bitchy and...
Well, that's because Max turned out to be who he was, and the last guy she slept with was a fucking murderer. I would keep my legs closed too. So I was starting
the whole appeal,
No. So I was beginning to say that I was disappointed because they took the whole direction that it took once. What was his name? Detective
Dean?
Yeah. When he told his chief that big fucking bullshit lie and the chief believed it and they destroyed evidence, I was like, why do we have to do this to law enforcement?
That's actually a really good point because I was actually angry at that.
I was so mad.
I was like, really? I'm pretty sure. I don't know.
Police are always put in this situation when it comes to TV shows that have to do with drug something or gang something related. They're always put in this awful spotlight of like, oh, because I'm law enforcement, I can get away with shit like this.
Yeah.
We know that shit's happening. How about like being inclusive in the part where like there's actually a fucking cop that does shit by the book and does shit the right way? I was furious when I saw that shit.
Because you also have Jules, who was, pulling shit for
that
now.
Yeah. And then she decides that, and then she decides, well, I'm gonna go rogue and do shit right, and then ends up getting killed anyways. Which, by the way, a fucking needle up here, nobody would ever see that.
Really?
I feel like no, because I feel
and
like
hairline too.
Yeah, and you've got so many like your hair follicles and shit. And I'm watching that and I'm like, oh my God, they just gave people ideas on how to kill other people.
Yeah, no, that's
I was like, holy fuck, that bitch is scary.
Mm-hmm.
The way she pulled the gun on Murphy, I was like, oh my God. She don't kill, bitch.
I feel you though. It's going in a direction that is too familiar, too overdone.
But so unexpected.
I know.
At the same time, but it's because a blind girl, a veterinarian, and a rich boy get involved in a drug deal
and find $100K, and now they gotta launder that shit. And
I'm at the point where I don't know how to feel about any of it. And I love how they started at the end with season 2 and are playing back from the beginning, because we started with the bartender's brother.
That's right. I forgot about that.
I don't know if he's dead or if he's just bleeding out. He might be still alive. But I was just like,
they do that thing where it's like craziness 3 months earlier, and then
yeah.
now the whole season's gonna be before that,
And that's where we're gonna end.
it is a gimmick to get you to watch the whole season to be like, what the fuck is happening? But
I still feel like it won't go past like 4 seasons.
no, it can't. Literally can't. Then again, I think I said that about Lost, and it went on for like 6 seasons or 7.
I mean, it's true what you're saying. It's very familiar. They've done this before, but I think because she's blind and she has the friends that she has, it's turning it into something that's like, and yet I've never seen this before.
Yeah.
But
I'll stay for the characters, but I feel like I'm gonna lose interest really fast.
Same. I'm very pissed at the direction that they took this with law enforcement.
Me too.
I was so fucking, the whole time I'm sitting there and I was like, oh my God, don't believe him. Oh my God, please don't believe him. Like, he was just like dangling this big fish in front of his chief, and the chief was, instead of just being like, well, then you're now an informant.
Yeah.
Like, you're off the force, go back to working for her, try to get back on her good graces, you're now an informant. Instead of doing that, no, they put him back on the force, because you know what he's going to do is anything that comes up against him, he's going to get on that case and he's going to get rid of that evidence.
Yep.
I'm so fucking pissed off.
Uh-huh. It's crazy, but
anyways.
It's In the Dark season 2 airs on the CW Thursdays at 9:00 p.m. So if you want to join us.
Mm-hmm. I watched it on the CW app, but I know it's available also on Hulu.
Yeah.
Or, cable if you people still pay for that stuff.
We do, but I ain't paying the bills, though. Besides that, do you want to talk about what you watched on Netflix?
Sure. I took my notes.
Look at you.
So
I'll get into my stuff later.
Okay, cool. So this was something that I've been hearing about this movie for
a long time.
Probably like 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember when Arrow first came out, not long after season 1, Stephen Amell became very active on Facebook, doing Facebook Lives all the time. He's very much engaged and manages his own Facebook account. Anything you get from Facebook from Stephen Amell is coming from Stephen Amell. Through Stephen Amell, I met Robbie Amell, his cousin. Right? Now, Robbie's done a couple things.
Him in person.
Obviously.
Sounds like you did.
No, that's not. No, because I didn't meet Stephen.
But continue.
Anyways. So I was introduced. It's the same fucking. Anyways. I discovered.
There you go.
Robbie Amell. So Robbie Amell, I fell in love with really quickly. Same thing with Steven, although like that thing happened with Stephen Amell where I got so into his Facebook that I now see him as Stephen Amell. So whenever I was watching Arrow, it wasn't Oliver Queen and the Arrow, it was Stephen Amell. So I lost, like, the disconnect was gone,
yep.
Right? So I lost interest after like season 2. I forget, the Tomorrow People was released on the CW, I believe. After one season, it was canceled.
Yep.
That series, that first season, the last like 3 or 4 episodes, it got really fucking good. But I think because it had such a slow start, it got canceled. And I felt so bad for Robbie Amell because he's been trying to get his footing and it's just not working. He did a few movies. He did the Tomorrow People. He was in, I don't know how many seasons or episode of The Flash, because he was Daniela Panabaker's boyfriend in there or whatever. I'm not exactly 100% sure what happened to him in the series. I never watched it. So in the struggle of getting his footing, Steven was working on a movie called Code 8. And I've literally been hearing about Code 8 for 2 years.
Yeah.
So I think it came out, I think it was December of last year. I'm not sure where it was released, but it just recently made it to Netflix, and it's at, you know how you have your top 10 on Netflix now?
Yeah.
It's at number 3.
Oh.
Yes. So it's Steven and Robbie are in this movie together, and I got so excited because I feel like this movie was born out of the Tomorrow People.
Yeah.
Yes, because it is a movie, and I feel like it's taking place like in current times. It's not in the, it's like in the near future-ish.
Yeah.
Right? But basically Robbie Amell plays Connor, and Connor lives with his mom. His mom and him are super powered beings, and they call them powers is what they're called. His mom has the ability to freeze things, and Robbie is what's known as a class 5 electric. So he can produce electricity from his body.
Yeah.
Right? They're in deep with medical bills because his mom has a tumor pressing against where her ability lives, and it's making her ill, and it's been neglected for so long that it's now killing her.
Oh.
Right? He can't find work. Now, I'm going to backtrack a little bit because I need you to understand that in our society, right? Going back 100 years, 200 years, whatever, powers build cities and bridges and skyscrapers. That's how things were created in our society, right? Because we didn't have machines to do that back then. We gained the technology to build machines that took over what the powers were doing.
Mm-hmm.
And now, for I forget what reason, powers are now evil. They're outcasted. They're outsiders. They're basically the equivalent of felons.
Okay.
They can't get jobs. They have to work under the table for money. So him and Connor and his mom are really struggling. So you know how there's always that running joke on any fucking TV show where you go to Home Depot and you find a bunch of Mexicans waiting for work?
Yeah.
It's basically what he has to do to get work. They go to these sites and they just wait for someone to drive by and be like, and they're all people with powers. So they'll be like, I need someone with super strength, and I need at least a class 2 electric or something too. Because he does like all the electrical wiring. There's people that have heating powers, healing powers. So Stephen Amell comes up and he's like, I need at least a class 2 electric. Robbie gets up, he needs the money. You find out that Stephen and his crew are made up of someone who can melt things, a super strength person who's also a mute, and then Stephen himself has telekinesis. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're fucking drug dealers.
God damn it.
They're fucking drug dealers. They work for this guy who sells a drug called Psych. Psych is made out of the spinal fluid of people with powers. And the way that you consume it is you put a few drops in your eyeballs and it gives you whatever fucking thing, right? So Robbie starts working with Steven. I should say Connor starts working with Garrett, who's Stephen Amell's character. And I love this because it's very Stephen Amell.
Yeah.
I feel like if he were a drug dealer, this is what he would act like.
Okay. That's the acting bit.
There's a lot of F-bombs, and there's nothing I take more pleasure in than watching Stephen Amell drop a good F-bomb.
Because you don't get that on the CW.
No, you don't. So it's very satisfying.
Yes.
To watch something
I know the
like
feeling.
that. Yeah, right. So, but it's great. Hold on, because I think I went. So, the movie's called Code 8 because whenever a powered person goes rogue or resist, law enforcement calls a Code 8. And what happens is they have these. They're not planes. It looks like something out of fucking.
Avengers.
X-Men. Yes, thank you, Avengers. It's this fucking plane, and it's got like 4 propellers, and it keeps it up and hovering. It's almost like hovering.
Yes.
I don't fucking know.
Hovercraft.
So humans created these AIs that are built to basically fight against powered people. They're called guardians.
Okay.
So when you call it
Grim a little bit.
Yeah. So when you call a Code 8, these guardians are activated and dropped to basically shield law enforcement from the powers,
Yeah.
right? Those things are fucking dope as shit. But they can still be destroyed. But that's cool. So, I think I hit all my. Oh, okay. So Robbie Amell, Stephen Amell, Carrie Matchett. I've seen her in other things. I'm not sure where though. Like I couldn't place her face.
Yeah.
And then the biggest surprise in this was Sung Kang, who's Dr. Park. He was Hans in the Fast and the Furious franchise.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He's a detective, and what's really interesting is, and you find out later on, spoiler alert, is that his child is a powered being.
Oh.
Him and his wife are not together, and it's interesting because he's a detective, and they are basically always like number one suspect. So those planes, right? Whenever they go to construction sites, when the police are called to construction sites, and because people are complaining that there are people with powers using their abilities or whatever, it's like a disturbance. The police are called to the scene. The plane is up above, and these poor people basically have to look up, and it scans their faces, and it'll say if you're enlisted, like if you've basically enlisted, like you've reported. It's almost like how what are they called? I keep wanting to say pedophiles, but yeah, like sexual offenders,
Oh, yeah.
sex
Like
offenders,
yeah.
how they have to register. It's
Yeah.
like that. They have to register and shit like that. So that's how they just keep tabs on you at all times. So it basically, anyways, the movie just culminates or whatever. It was interesting because you don't know who has the power. Is it him or his wife?
Oh, okay.
The detective or his wife? Like in a time where in his job is to stop these people. And I remember his daughter asked him at one point, like, "Are you and mommy gonna give me away?" Because she couldn't control her powers. And he goes, "No, why would you say that?" And she's like, "Well, I heard that sometimes people give away kids to adoptions agencies who have powers because normal parents can't handle it."
Yeah.
Which is like,
Damn.
yeah. So they keep doing jobs here and there, and
Shit goes on.
it does. But the way it leaves off, you can either take the ending for what it is and just end it on a bad note, and now these people need to figure out how to live on, or it's setting us up for a sequel.
Oh.
We're just not sure.
So did you like it? Okay, good.
So like, it was good.
Mm-hmm. Would I like it?
Yeah.
Because it sounds like I would like it.
Yeah. Because I'm trying to figure, like, it's familiar in the sense that, like, okay, superpowers, but there's like, they trespass, which is where you first see Robbie Amell use the full extent of his power. So he registered as a class 2 electric, when in reality he's a class 5, which is like one of the highest or whatever that they've ever seen.
Yeah.
So they do some trespassing and steal some shit, get away with it. Then there's a bank heist.
Of course.
Then there's this whole drug situation, and Stephen Amell wanted to be like fucking the leader for like drug trafficking, for psych.
Yeah.
And it's just, I'm not sure where, it's like if X-Men went rogue.
Okay. I like it.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I enjoyed it.
I'm gonna watch that.
There's nothing like, I really truly do love and appreciate Stephen Amell. So to see him and his cousin in the same space,
yep,
I almost feel like it's Stephen trying to help Robbie get his, like I said, he just can't get a footing because everything that he does, it kind of just flops. You know, like it never sticks.
I honestly can't think of anything that Steven's been in though besides Arrow.
But Arrow was so successful.
I know.
It had like 7 seasons, right? And it was canceled. But The Flash spinned off of that. And they had something else. It was Arrow and The Flash. And then they had another series where they just kept doing collaborations.
Yeah.
Like the Flash would spill into Arrow and vice versa and shit like that. So if you really think about it, he was in 3 series at once and making a movie.
That's a lot. It's a lot of work.
Yeah. I don't think I have my iPad, or else I would look up what else he's been in. He was in like 2 episodes of Vampire Diaries where he played a wolf.
Really?
Yes, and he's really good at playing the bad guy, because that's what he was in those 2 episodes. Like, his eyes just go dead.
I like him as a bad guy. Yo, he was in Ninja Turtles.
Oh, Casey, that's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been in a lot of like the CW stuff.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he's probably like part owner at this fucking point. No, but I really do like him. I enjoy watching his stuff. I think
Vampire Diaries.
he's just, I don't know what it is about him.
A lot of TV.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much
Which,
all.
to be honest, if I was going to be an actress, I would rather do TV series than movies.
Yeah.
I think I would enjoy, like, Supernatural went on for 15 seasons. I think I would enjoy that rather than let's show up to make a movie for 3 to 6 months and then be done.
Yeah, no, if you're in the main cast at TV, for sure.
Yeah.
So, all right. Code 8, I'm going to watch it.
On Netflix.
On
do
Netflix.
it.
I will
Yes.
watch it.
You sent me a message. I just got Shudder. Here's my login. What made you do that?
I kept seeing the commercials on TV, and I'm like, why don't I subscribe? Shudder is like Netflix in platform-wise, but it's all horror movies. 100% horror movies. Now, it doesn't have the breadth of quantity that Netflix has.
They didn't. I was very surprised at how limited that was.
But for what's there,
not bad.
Not bad. And they have a lot of their own exclusive content, like any other streaming service does.
So I went under featured.
Yes.
Like that's all I saw. Yeah. Oh. I didn't see anything else.
Because you can sort by like they have it by category, like psychological thriller or creatures or
I have to dig in a little more.
Haunted houses, or like it breaks it off in different categories like that.
Right.
So I subscribed, and it's like it equates to like $55 a year, which I don't think is that bad. It's like $4 a month. Like $4 or $5. And
that's what I pay for that Passion Flicks under the Amazon umbrella. Yeah.
Now, I'm going to say this for those that are interested. You can get subscribed to Shudder through Amazon Prime, but it doesn't have their full catalog. And if you subscribe there, you can't watch it on the app. It's like 2 different things. Does that make sense? So if you, for instance, I subscribe through their website / like the app.
Okay.
You can't watch it on Amazon Prime unless you resubscribe. It's like 2 different entities.
Oh, I wonder if Passion Flicks is like that.
No idea. But all I know is that the app has everything and Amazon Prime does not. So
okay.
That is why I did through the app instead.
Okay.
The main thing that I wanted to watch is called Cursed Films.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a series, but they're all short documentary style episodes where they go behind the scenes of all these supposed cursed film sets, like over the years. So for instance, episode 1 was The Exorcist. And it talks about like the theory behind, not the theory, but kind of like the craziness, the hype of what happened, like when they made it. Shit.
Did they mention that serial killer was in there?
Yes.
They did.
Yep. And that's one of the like the cursed lore, like mythologies, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, there was a serial killer in The Exorcist. And I mean he was. I mean he played like an extra, but
that was insane.
Yeah, and they talked to Linda Blair. They interviewed Linda Blair like now. And they kind of like talked about her experience on the film, and like she had to have bodyguards because all these crazy people thought she was possessed
Was
and everything.
Linda Blair the child or the mom?
No, the child.
She was in an episode of Supernatural.
Yes, she was.
I remember that. It's funny.
Yeah. So I think they're releasing like 1 to 2 episodes a week, it looks like, because they're only up to
Mhm.
episode 5. It goes into the Exorcist movie, The Omen, Poltergeist, and now this week they just released The Crow.
Hold on. The Omen?
Yeah.
Was there an original?
Yeah. Came out in
Oh,
the
okay.
70s.
I didn't know. The Crow. That was crazy too.
The Crow and Twilight Zone, the movie. So Poltergeist is my thing because I love that movie, but it also
Never
is the
seen
reason
it.
why I hate clowns and dolls. So, yeah. But they talk about, because on Poltergeist, they called it a cursed film set because 2 of the actors died.
I remember reading about
Yeah.
that, yeah.
And, which is extremely sad, but it had nothing to do with the film. It happened like, at least Heather O'Rourke didn't die for like a couple years later, the main little girl.
Oh, how the hell did they tie that to the movie set then?
Because they used real skeletons in the pool scene. That's what they thought it was, like a cursed.
Did they really?
Yeah, they did. But the special effects guy goes, every movie where you see a skeleton, it's so much cheaper to just get a real skeleton from like a biology lab than it is to sculpt a fake skeleton.
Oh, because once you release your remains to a biology lab, the biology lab can do whatever they want with it.
And
Okay.
yeah, the guy listed off like a couple movies that used real skeletons back in like the 30s and 40s and stuff. So he's like, it's nothing new, you know.
That is fucking
Yeah.
mean,
Actually,
though. That's like,
hey, if you sell your bot, if you donate, you could be in a movie. Sorry.
imagine that'd be like remain number 1, so and so, remains number 2,
Yeah.
so and so.
Oh my god. But what was creepy as fuck is in the Poltergeist episode, they interviewed a guy who collects movie memorabilia, but like legitimate on-screen used things, like the Mike Myers mask. Killer Clowns from Outer Space, he had the real, like the used headpieces for the clown.
Yeah.
And he goes, but the thing that freaks out my kids the most is probably the Poltergeist clown. And he had that fucking thing like hung up in a glass case on his wall. I was like, why?
Oh, you mean like the way Annabelle was in a glass case in the fucking movie?
I was like, why would you have that? I hate that clown. I'm sorry.
I feel like those things have too much energy. I sound like a fucking woo-woo person now.
They talked about that. They said like people hold these like energies around objects, and they talked about like if someone were to ask you, would you wear Hitler's jacket, would you do it? He's like, no, I wouldn't, because people equate like this aura around these objects.
Yeah, no.
There's evil around it at the time it was used or whatever.
Even if I saw somebody sporting the mustache, I'd be like, you have evil intentions.
Unless they were portraying Charlie Chaplin, that's the only case it should be used.
Okay, maybe. But still.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I can't.
But then, so this week I watched the Crow episode, and of course they go into the whole thing about
Brandon Lee
getting shot, and it was very nice how they did the episode, because of course they had like the special effects guy, and I think he was the director or a producer, and they were like talking very nicely about their experience, about Brandon and telling his story. So
did they say like what happened?
Yes.
Which was?
It's hard to explain because I'm not a ballistics person, but they explain how they had a dummy bullet in the thing, but if something goes wrong, it has the projectile, and then they just take the powder out, and then you know that like circle on the end of a bullet, it's like in the middle.
Yeah.
You're supposed to take that pin out because then it won't like fire the projectile. But they didn't take that pin out, so the bullet itself was lodged into the chamber when it fired. So and nothing happened because it was a dummy bullet. But then when they put in another dummy bullet to reload, that projectile was still in the chamber, and they didn't know about it. So when
Oh,
the actor went to go shoot him, the projectile was shot and entered Brandon Lee. So it was an accident. Um, but
that pin that you're talking about,
yeah,
and I hate to bring this up because I know we've exhausted the conversation of Teen Wolf, but Allison's dad at one point was holding a gun. I think it was up to Derek or
yeah,
Scott, and he went to pull the trigger and nothing happened. And she had said about something about a pin, like, oh, if it would have worked if you had had the pin in there. He's like, you removed the pin on purpose.
yeah,
So I wonder if it was the same pin.
yeah. Because all bullets have that pin, and of course, if you take it out, it's not gonna
Do what it's supposed to.
exactly.
Wow. If I were
Okay.
that actor, I'd feel like an asshole.
Well, they even talked about that. Like, imagine how you feel. Like you just killed somebody, not intentionally, but
I feel
because you
like,
fired a gun. You know?
so do you think you would worry about something like that if you were in the shoes of that actor and you're like fucking, like, think about how many action films are out there and you've got guns pointed at people, shooting people in the face. Like, that could potentially go wrong at any moment.
Yep.
I would be so
And
afraid of that.
actually, they did touch on that because I this was filmed in the early 90s, obviously.
Right.
So they were saying how the studio was there were some types of like budget cuts where they had to pull like the ballistics person off set and hire
That's the one.
somebody else. So because
Oh
of that, there wasn't enough oversight.
my
And
God.
that's like one of the main reasons why it happened is because there wasn't really
You didn't have a professional there telling you how to do things.
yes.
That's the one professional you don't get rid of.
Nope. But
They
again,
could have had, they
go
could
ahead.
have gone into any gun store and like at least consulted with somebody. Oh my God.
There I know.
It
But that
sounds
was
good though.
it's a very good show. Um I
Informative.
highly recommend it for any film buffs out there, for sure.
Yeah.
Um, and then I don't know if you know this, but the last episode is about Twilight Zone the movie, and that's the one where the helicopter came down on the set, and like you didn't hear this one?
No.
No. In the 70s, and it was like a Vietnam scene, and explosions going off. There was a helicopter, and there was a main actor holding two children that he was saving, like in the scene, wading through like a water like up to the hips maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the explosions got too close and the helicopter went down and basically cut the two kids and him in half.
Oh,
You have
that
seen, yeah, and that happened on set. And I forgot it was a Twilight Zone movie, but and what sucks is the two kids weren't. I'm gonna say illegal because they weren't permitted to be on the movie. They did it like off books because you're not supposed to have children actors filming after like 8 p.m. But
yeah, there's a curfew.
they were filming at 2 a.m. and the parents were there on the set and
So
that
the
happened.
could they even sue at that point because what they were doing was illegal?
Oh yeah, no, they got fined. They went to court. They didn't they weren't
But
like
the parents didn't sue the movie people.
no, but they got in trouble because they weren't permitted and there were deaths. Like the director was on the hook for like manslaughter or whatever, but he was the jury found him not guilty, quote unquote, but he did pay like a lot of fines for not having the right permits and stuff.
Did
And
the go ahead.
I was just gonna say the director who did this also did Animal House and the Blues Brothers. His name is John Landis. And
Yeah.
I liked him and I liked his movies, but I never knew that he was the one who did that movie. And I was like, shit.
Like, oh.
Ugh. But it's as sad as it is, it's very interesting to watch.
Yeah.
Not that scene, just the cursed films show.
The whole thing,
Yeah.
yeah, in general.
So
I'll
highly
check it out.
yeah.
I'll check it out.
But something I watched last night, which relates back to our earlier conversation, is on
Mm-hmm.
Shudder, and it's called Summer of '84, and it's recent. Like they filmed it recently. And it's your typical like group of 4 boys in the 80s, suspect that their neighbor is one of the serial killers that's like in the news, like snatching up all these preteen boys.
Okay.
And it just goes into like them spying on him and checking him out, sneaking into his house to see if it's
I know
him,
what you're talking
blah
about.
blah blah. The suspected serial killer is also a cop, played by the same guy who plays Dean.
No! No!
Yes.
This guy.
I freaked out. Because he has that, like, that bubbly, chubby man.
That's what it is. You
Yeah.
know why? Because he the devil. He the devil. That man
Whoa.
is the devil.
Because he has that jolly, like, I'm a good man.
Yeah, the most.
Cop.
Yeah, he would never.
Yeah, he's
so
too
nice.
And then he stops smiling, and you're like, oh, oh damn. He does a good job, though.
Oh.
He does.
That only tells you that this dude is an excellent actor.
Yes. And
I fucking hate him.
I mean, it's not the best movie ever, but it's not the worst. I enjoyed it, even though it was kind of familiar, you know.
Yeah.
Your typical 80s little boys on bikes.
Yeah.
And, yeah, breaking into this guy's house. But he was good. And it ended in a way that I didn't expect.
That's maddening.
I know. But,
that just makes me think that all police officers have that mentality of like, I can get away with this because I'm a cop.
Oh, okay. That's where earlier in our conversation about In the Dark, that's why I was like, I'll talk about that. Because in Summer of '84, his character, Mackie, is like they're trying to find this serial killer. And the parents of the main boy find out and make him go to Mackie to apologize for like sneaking into his house and doing all this shit. So he knows that the boys are suspecting him. So then he goes on the news and he's like, oh yeah, I caught the Kate May Slayer or whatever. And so he was the one that put this guy away as the serial killer just to make everybody stop believing it was him.
That's what I'm saying. He's going to do the same thing in the Dark. I wonder if he sits back and be like, wow, this feels familiar.
Yep.
Like I've played this part before.
Yep. That's what I hate. But it was good.
Aggravating.
So that I mean, if you like that type of horror movie, it was good. So.
Well.
On Shudder only.
Yeah, right. When you told me about Shudder, I went through it. And the feature list was very small. So I was like, oh, this is it? And there were a couple things in there that popped at me, but then I saw The Exorcist was on there, the original movie. And I was like, I've never seen this. And
you watched it.
One of my good friends is always talking about how that movie scarred her. So I watched it. Number one, I don't know. I laughed a lot. I laughed so much. And not because it is what it is.
Yeah.
But because every time something happened, all I could think back was to Scary Movie. Fuck! So she's standing there pissing herself. I'm like,
thank you, because Scary Movie 1 and 2 ruined so many horror movies for me.
Yo, I'm just like, I was dying the whole time. But when you take the Scary Movie element out of it and you just watch The Exorcist for what it is not terrifying.
Oh, no. But you have to think about when it came out. When it came out, it was a big deal.
I kept telling Javi, I was like, wow, things back then were shot so awkwardly. Because there's that scene where the girl and her mom are in their basement and they're looking at board games or something.
Mm-hmm.
And
she pulls out
mom
that
is in
board.
yeah, so mom's in front of the camera looking at this Ouija board. And I understand that the camera's trying to focus on like, oh, there's a Ouija board in the house. But the daughter is like way in the back and she's talking away from the camera and the sound quality is just, you can really like if this movie was done at this time, you would see it like up close on mom, and then the girl would talk, and you would still hear the voice at the same level where mom is.
Yep.
Instead of like, oh, she's way back there and there's only one mic in this entire set.
Yep.
Right? So, or like the camera would go from mom to child and back to mom. So it was little things like that that I picked up. When they were whispering, like they were really whispering, and it's just like hard to listen because it's not like how movies are today.
Yep.
So I saw those things and I appreciated how, like, it really makes you realize, like, oh my God, we've come a long way.
Yeah.
So that's interesting to watch. Makeup and effects,
Again, for the time.
but still good. Do you know what grossed me out the most?
What?
It was not her peeing. It was not the projectile.
It was the masturbation scene.
That didn't even gross me out. No. It was a little disturbing.
Oh, yeah.
But it didn't gross me out. It was two parts. When she hawked that loogie. And when the vomit was just oozing out of her mouth.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You're not good with spit.
No, I'm not. Because when it's like projectile, like that didn't really bother me.
You could tell it's like a machine.
Right. But
thing.
when it was like just like spilling out of her mouth, I gagged. Like it was a genuine, like I needed to stop for a second. Yeah.
I'm so sorry, but I'm so glad you watched it.
Yeah, me too.
Just to see it, just to have the context and.
Yeah, no, of course. The bed shaking. It was like, I understand the technology that they had, but it was just so badly done, but it was so wonderful at the same time.
Oh.
I don't know.
I like old stuff because of that.
Yeah.
They had to do a lot more.
I know. They had to be very creative.
Yes.
I was surprised. I didn't know that in the end, the priest ended up taking it upon himself and then flinging himself out the window. So because I never knew how that movie ended. I just knew that there was about this girl who was possessed and pissed herself and puked and masturbated and shoved her mom's face down there and all that shit.
Yeah.
Right?
Because that's all everybody ever talks about.
Pretty much. So I had a little bit of trouble keeping up with it just because of the way that it cuts from scene to scene.
Yep.
There's no transition. It's just, it literally is like, we're going to shoot this scene, play it, cut to the next scene, and play that. And then go back to this scene. It's just very, they were limited in their technology. So it's very evident. But again, I appreciated it. I appreciated what they did with it.
I have never read the book though. So
There's a book?
Yeah, it's based on a book, kid. I know. I haven't read it though. Never read it. So I'll have to. But it's not one that I will go out of my way to watch. Like, I feel like watching The Exorcist right now, yo.
It's 2.5 hours.
It's long. And it's kind of boring. So.
And it made me think of The Shining.
Oh, yeah, because okay.
It's that same tempo of nothing happening, really.
Yeah.
There's a couple jumpy things that happen in the beginning, and then there's the big finish, right? I will say this, that scene where she went to get her CT scan or MRI, whatever it was, with the serial killer, that was very well done.
Yeah?
Yes, it was. Why?
Because, and I learned this from Cursed Films.
Right.
They went to like an actual lab and had two real technicians.
He was a technician.
That's why the
serial killer was an actual.
Because he worked at the lab.
I forgot about that. That the serial killer actually worked at the hospital. Yeah, I remembered that. But I was really impressed by that. I was like, holy fuck! Like they really are. That MRI machine was fucking terrifying, though.
Yeah.
Because I know the new ones now are really loud, and that was just fucking awful.
Yep. Well, I'm glad you watched it.
I am too. What did you think about the doctors referring her to an exorcism, like an exorcist?
That
Did you
shit
think
ain't
that?
real.
No, doctors would never do that.
No. Although in cursed films, they talk to a guy who claims to be an exorcist nowadays, and they show him going to a couple people and performing exorcisms, and it was very hard to take it seriously. Yeah.
Have you ever watched those reality shows? I think that's what they're called, like the paranormal activity ones.
No.
And people, they go to their people's houses and they're like, oh, I've got scratches all over my body, and there's knocking and scratching in the walls. You never seen shit like that?
No, I have, but it 9 times
What
out of
was
10 it's not real.
what was the one where it was like college kids that went and did shit like that? Yeah, it was like paranormal something or other.
Paranormal investigates or something. I don't know.
No, I have a friend who's a paranormal investigator.
You said that, and he has a podcast, doesn't he?
He had started one, but yeah, he has a Facebook page, and he does shit all the time. I think it's interesting.
I think it would be interesting just to go to those places. Just
Hey, maybe I can get him so you can interview him and you can go along with. They do like a overnight stays and shit like that.
Yeah, just to see just to go into like an abandoned asylum or like a decrepit old house. Like that would that's my dream.
They try to hit more like famous places for hauntings, because I think for like decrepit old houses and abandoned asylums you need permits for.
You do,
yeah. So let me see if I can get you the hookup. Maybe for Christmas. For Christmas. It's your Christmas gift.
Oh, thanks.
No problem.
Oh god.
I think that's it. Asking Alexandria's new album, they released another song.
What is it called?
Down something.
Down to Hell?
Something like that. And there's a lyric video. It seems like they're keeping up with the same theme for all the videos.
Yeah. I like that.
So they were told to either push back the release date. They were advised to do that.
Really?
Because they were worried about sales, because they can't distribute CDs.
Oh.
And the members of Asking Alexandria decided to go against that and decided to keep their original release date, because they said that this was music for the fans. It wasn't to make money. So they're going to be digitally releasing it. They're not changing anything.
I'm down.
Yeah, me too.
Down to Hell. I was right.
Okay.
I'm jazzed for it though.
Me too.
It's asking,
Mm-hmm. New music during this time would be nice.
Yeah, that's for sure. I know I've been, the seldom times I'm in my car, that's what I listen to.
Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
I found those In the End remixes.
Is it bad that when you sent it to me, my first thought was BVB's In the End? That's so bad. Because I just see In the End and I immediately think of the
In the End. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Linkin Park's. Sorry.
Yeah. That's okay.
It was pretty though. The one you sent.
It was. And I found that because there was an IG thingy of a couple who had just gotten married, were doing their wedding photos. And that was the song for the video. And it was basically like they're standing on the side of a cliff that, there's a river underneath. And husband is here, wife is here, and they're kissing and they fall. And there's a photographer taking pictures as they're falling. Well, it was very cute, but I was more interested in the song than I was of what was going on.
Yeah. I love like when you hear commercials or whatever and you're just like, what is that? I want that song.
I know. Isn't that terrible?
I love it though. That's how I discovered like a few new songs here and there.
Same.
Same.
For sure. Same. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So y'all keep watching, or at least go watch what we just recommended, because we're awesome and we know what we're talking about when we don't know what we're talking about.
Exactly. And if you do love horror movies, highly recommend subscribing to Shudder. It's good.
Fucking real. It's nice. I liked it. I'm gonna you know what? I gotta finish that Surviving R. Kelly Part 2.
I have to start that.
I think I have like 5 or 10 minutes left of the second season, and then I'm done. Shit is more disturbing. There are more people coming forward, and it is his court date is this month.
Oh, really?
Yes, which how genius of you, right?
Yeah.
So,
cool.
as sad as it is, it's
enlightening. No,
I think it brings to light what's been going on for 30 years for sure. It's like in your face. You can no longer fucking ignore this shit.
Yeah.
But what I found interesting was that they talk about how often the R. Kelly situations have been made fun of, whether it's like in comedic stand-up or something. Like even Dave Chappelle makes fun of it all the time.
Yeah.
And they talk about how in doing so, and I've always hated it whenever I hear, like I saw one of Dave Chappelle's latest specials on Netflix, and he talked about the whole R. Kelly thing. And I genuinely got frustrated because, and I didn't realize this was what I was feeling until I heard it on the docuseries. In doing that, you're normalizing what he's done.
Exactly. Yep.
You're making it a big fucking joke, so it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
You're not thinking about the victim. But I remember watching Dave Chappelle's special, and he made the fucking joke, and I was laughing until that point, and I'm like, this is not okay. Like, that's fucked up. Like, those poor fucking girls are suffering.
Yep.
And you're just making a big fucking joke out of it.
Yep.
So
I know exactly what you mean.
It brings that to the front, and they touch on really good points of, like, obviously that, and then they talk about how when it comes to sexual assault, the law is more interested or more on the side of the person being accused of sexually assaulting rather than supporting the victims,
which is fucked.
Yeah, it is. It's just, girls get raped or molested and they go and report on it because it's complete hearsay. It's like, well, we can't prove anything. So it's just like, okay, well, then I just won't fucking say anything at all. And
it's crazy.
It's very, I don't think I've ever met someone, not that you and I have had this conversation, so I don't know, but I don't think I've ever met a woman in my life who wasn't in some shape or form sexually assaulted. And I've 32 years of life, and I've never met someone who has said to me, oh, I've never been groped or touched or these awful things that were said to me, or like, I've never heard of anybody saying that. As somebody, everybody always has something.
That's sad.
And it's disgusting.
It is disgusting.
So to end on that note,
we're speaking of not disgusting.
Yeah. So go subscribe to Shudder. This video is not sponsored by Shudder, by the way.
But it's just dope as hell. So
yeah. So Shudder, get on Code 8 on Netflix.
I know I am.
Yes.
I'm gonna watch that tonight.
Don't forget to download Asking Alexandria's new album or pre-order it, whatever. What else? R. Kelly, fucking asshole, piece of shit, asshole, piece of shit.
Tune into the In the Dark Thursdays at 9 on CW.
Yeah, that too. So yeah. Have fun,
enjoy
guys.
yourselves.
Because this is where we'll be for the next 2 months.
I miss you so much.
If I wasn't so scared for your life, I'd let you come over, but I forbid it right now. Sorry. I'm adjusting my boobs.
And on that note,